We think space is still, silent, empty, frozen in place. A black backdrop where stars just sit there. But nothing out there is actually at rest. Not the stars, not the galaxies, not even the empty space between them. What looks calm is moving. What looks empty is active. And what looks permanent is slowly changing. Space isn't still. It never has been. From Earth, space looks motionless because our brains are terrible at understanding scale. When something moves slowly across a short distance, we see it. When something moves slowly across a distance measured in millions of light years, it looks frozen. Stars appear fixed because their motion is too subtle for us to notice in a human lifetime. Galaxies look locked in place because their changes unfold over hundreds of millions of years. To us, space feels like a photograph, but it's closer to a time-lapse, one we're watching at the wrong speed. In space, motion isn't something that needs to be created, it's the default state. On Earth, friction slows things down. Air resistance stops motion. Surfaces absorb energy. But in space, there's almost nothing to slow objects down. If something is moving, it will keep moving, not for seconds or minutes, but for millions of years, unless something actively interferes. Stillness doesn't exist naturally out there. Stopping requires force. Motion does not. Stars don't sit quietly in space. They wobble. They drift. They orbit invisible centers of mass. Some stars are tugged by unseen companions. Others are pulled by the combined gravity of entire star clusters. Even our sun is moving, carrying the entire solar system with it, as it orbits the center of the Milky Way at hundreds of kilometers per second. The night sky feels fixed. In reality, it's in constant rearrangement. We used to think planets formed and stayed put. That idea didn't survive long. Many planets don't end up anywhere near where they formed. They migrate. Some spiral inward toward their stars. Others are flung outward. Some are ejected entirely, becoming rogue planets, drifting through interstellar space alone. Solar systems are not static architectures. They're evolving systems. Even stability is temporary. Galaxies don't float peacefully either. They rotate. They stretch. They fall toward each other. The Milky Way itself is moving through space, pulled by massive structures far beyond what we can see. On the largest scales, galaxies trace enormous flows, drifting along gravitational currents that shape the universe like invisible rivers. Nothing is parked. Everything is in transit. Even the emptiest regions of space aren't still. On the smallest scales, space itself fluctuates. Energy appears and disappears. Fields vibrate. On larger scales, space expands. Not objects moving through space, but space itself stretching. Distances grow, structures drift apart, motion without movement. The emptiest places are some of the most active. What we call still is just motion we don't notice. Too slow, too large, too subtle. Space isn't a backdrop where events happen. It's part of the event. Everything out there is in motion, and always has been. The universe doesn't pause, it evolves. When you look up at the night sky, it feels calm, but that calm is deceptive. Above you, stars are drifting, galaxies are separating, space itself is changing. Nothing out there is standing still, and neither is the universe we're part of. Subscribe to keep exploring what we usually overlook.